Greetings from beyond the screen. I do apologize in advance if you hear my teacup. It's creamy vanilla and it reminds me of something, and it's just too good to put down. To my surprise, and the surprise of many others, Tomb Raider has once again been resurrected, and we'll be watching the trailer for Legacy of Atlantis, which will be releasing next year.
It's been years. Lost worlds. Frozen in time. I didn't know then the path this adventure would send me on.
It's made abundantly clear from the title to the visuals we see in the trailer that we will once again be revisiting the first game with a modern look. Unfortunately for me, we've done this with Tomb Raider Anniversary. We've done this with the Tomb Raider Remaster Collection. At this point, I am tired of having to see studio after studio dig up a dead corpse and parade it around as if it still has some sliver of life to it. If you are going to take the Tomb Raider franchise and you want to breathe new life into it, you need to do what happened in 2005, 2006 with Tomb Raider Legend, where it was a completely different game, a completely different story from the original Tomb Raider. And it brought Lara back into the public space. It made her once again a cultural icon. Unfortunately, when we had the Shadow of the Tomb Raider series, that was a hot mess. It was worse than garbage, and we all know why. It was the attempt for many so-called developers to take a character with a lot of cultural relevance and power behind them and turn that character into a vehicle for their activism. That is ultimately the reason why that attempt at rebooting the franchise failed, because it wasn't meant to be a game, it was meant to be activism. In addition to this, the other problem I have with the Tomb Raider remake is that there is no visual coherence in Lara's design between the two games. In Legacy of Atlantis, there's an attempt at recreating her original look from Tomb Raider 1 and Anniversary. Unfortunately, they failed in all marks. It would be easy for them to simply copy over the look into a modern engine and it would be perfect. Modders are capable of doing this. The problem is, it's that when you look at Legacy of Atlantis, there is, as I mentioned before, an attempt to make Lara look as how she's supposed to be. And then by Catalyst, there's a complete tonal shift in her entire design. She looks younger, she's more covered up. There's no attempt whatsoever to emphasize Lara's attitude of being an adventurer or even her athleticism. None of that is emphasized. The problem with this is that it makes it quite apparent for me that even with all the clever camera angles and shots that emphasize her ass and her cleavage, that had many on the anti-woke ruling, like Brain Dead Simpletons, because wow, fan service, I love it so much. The issue is this, is how do you go from the look of Legacy of Atlantis to Catalyst? And these games are releasing in the space of 1 year between each other. There should be some consistency. And then when we go back to my earlier point of them not really capturing Lara's look in Tomb Raider 1 or Anniversary. And when I refer to Tomb Raider 1, I would mostly be talking about how she appears in the remaster and Anniversary. Because they had no excuse whatsoever to not recreate those iconic looks in Legacy of Atlantis, especially since it's a remake of Tomb Raider 1. Crystal Dynamics is also working on this game with Amazon. So there's no reason whatsoever that she could not look as she was there, which is big, expressive brown eyes, luscious lips, and humongous breast. Those, whether you like it or not, are one of the more character defining traits of Lara Croft. In addition to her dual pistols, her adventuring gear, these stand out more than that. And so when we get excited over an ass shot or a shot of cleavage, and even It's a Gundam says this, it's not as good as it could have been, but it's serviceable, that's a problem for me. If you can't have a higher standard on what you'll find acceptable as a gamer, then you have no standards. Why complain about Shadow of the Tomb Raider and how they desexualized the character and completely ruined her in terms of just also characterization and not just visual design? Why complain then? Because if they simply gave you enough fan service, you would have ate it up like pigs at a trough. Either have higher standards or have no standards at all. And it isn't like Crystal Dynamics can be trusted. When they released the remaster collection, they issued a content warning saying that this isn't in any way representative of their values at Crystal Dynamics. What is representative of their values? The fact that Lara would gun down black men? Browns? What was the value being conveyed to us? Then they also censored pin-up posters in the game as well, and only undid that when fan backlash grew big enough. And so we're suddenly supposed to ignore what Crystal Dynamics did. And we should also ignore Amazon, who's also just as guilty of prioritizing DEI over quality, because we got some fan service and that's serviceable enough for us because we have no standards whatsoever. And my gosh, what was more annoying on top of all of this was the fact that once again the anti-woke proved that they're just as insufferable as the left. I saw Cribrutus make a tweet where it's like, game journalists being mad for no reason in 3, 2, 1. And then, I think about 20 or so minutes later, I then saw someone make a tweet upset. And it's like, all right, he's right. I'm not going to say he isn't. But the problem is this. He's reacting in a much more active manner than the left. There's no reason to make the tweets to say, oh, the left are going to be upset in 3, 2, 1. We know they're going to be upset. The fact that you make a tweet about this means that you consider these people so important, so worth your notice, when they should be beneath it. These people are unimportant. Whether they get upset or not is irrelevant. They will be upset over the fact that the wind decided to be a little bit strong today. These are the kind of people that will take non-issues, the most insignificant thing imaginable, and then turn it into the world's greatest injustice. The fact that you are willing to pay attention to them means that you are wasting your time, which you could be investing in much better things, like his Sweet Baby curated list, which he done. That wasn't a beautiful use of his time. These kind of tweets, I'm sorry, they do nothing. And I think that's about it on what I have to say about the subject. As I said, I'm not going to be in support of this game because I have higher standards, unlike many, because I'm not willing to accept just a little bit of fan service. And I'm more than happy with the product I'm getting because I just want a goon. Thank you for stopping by, and remember, I'm always up, by the way.